Welcome to Black Women's World Podcast, the BWWP.
But I've had odd jobs and so forth to compensate where I've lost, but I've not missed a beat. I refuse to miss a beat.
Something you should say. I have a friend of mine. We go way back. And she was in, and I don't want to say the industry because I don't want to give it away because I love anonymity among friends. That means a lot.
Right.
But she was in a particular industry where she was known nationally at the top of her game. And not just because of COVID, but because she just got tired. She don't want to do that anymore. She don't want to do it anymore. And she was telling me how embarrassed she was to take a 9-to-5.
Welcome to Black Women's World Podcast, the BWWP, where we get VIP access into the lives of Black women, or as we like to call us here, our SistaNistas. We get to hear from some of our favorite SistaNistas as they share their worlds with us and create connections, exchange realities, ideas, and baby, we get to recognize and celebrate how powerful we really are. Welcome to our queendom. I'm your self-discovery companion, your professional peacemaker, and I'm your host, Tracy Mack. Come on in and relax and sit with me for just a little while. Peace.
Well, hello, everybody. I am Tracy Mack, your professional peacemaker and host of Black Women's World Podcast. That's the BWWP, baby. Listen, I am so glad to have my two dynamic co-hosts back in the VIP seats today. Dina Hamilton, Javon Cookie Jones, say something to the people because it's been a little while.
Yes, SistaNista lovers. I am so glad to be back. Oh my goodness. So good to see you, Tracy. So good to see you, Javon.
So good to see you too, Dina, being extra as always.
Yeah, extra. You love it though.
I do, and I miss it too. I miss y'all.
I miss you all too. I mean, it's something when when we're together, like one of you or the other, but when we all together, it's a whole nother synergy. And God knows I love you. And it's been a long time. Oh, there go the song. It's been a long time.
Hey.
Feeling it. It's been a minute, and I really miss you guys. What's been going on in your Black woman's world? I mean, whoever wants to go first, just give us a little. Since the last time we connected, we've had the show topics about grief. We talked to Erica Austin about her book, Poised for Greatness. I've talked about When Black Women Scream. We've had some great guests since we last spoke. But what's been going on in your world, Javon Cookie Jones?
Oh, everything. Business, parents, children, and business.
You started with business and ended with business. Okay.
I'm telling you. Yeah, just running my business, running my parents.
Yeah.
As well as, running behind my son. Even though things have shifted a lot with school and everything, it's still going. It's busy, but it's been good. Just, I need a clone machine. I need to make a couple of me's, about 2-3 more me's, and we'd be good.
Well, what's been the most stressful part of because the life you just mentioned, that's a Black woman's world in so many ways. We got a lot of SistaNistas and SistaNista lovers listening who deal with the same things. What's been the highlight of it, and then how have you been managing?
Well, the highlight is I'm getting stuff done, getting things accomplished, and helping my father out in a way that he hasn't had the help in a long time. We were renovating his home. His home was beginning to get kind of just ugly. So we're just doing some renovations. The family kind of pulled together and doing some things to help him out. And it's taken a little bit of time, but my boys being in school and working and things like that, they're coming in, helping, and other family members as well. So it's really been something, but it's going well. The shift has been working, and even with the salon and everything, with things going on the way they have, a lot of clients have decreased in coming in the salon as often with COVID numbers and the Delta variant being so, potent right now. It's like so much is going on, but things are still going well. It's just like, it's been a huge shift here. But I've shifted over a little bit to my parents and just doing things differently, but it's still, I'm blessed in the midst. So
yeah, that's good, because a lot of us juggle so many different things, and having to know those shifts and dealing with the public, that's always going to be very fragile right now. Dina, what's been going on in your Black woman's world?
This Black woman tired, okay? She's tired. And I think most of it is like overwhelmed. This summer, Jessica took driver's ed, and now she, as of September 16th, is a permitted driver. She's got, got her learner's permit. So the transition of a new place in my life, the milestones, that watching them achieve, that's different. The teaching portion thing, I never thought that I would have the patience to teach her how to drive, sitting in that seat with absolutely no control, no control as to what's going on. That is, that is totally out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
It's totally out of my wheelhouse. But watching that is been an experience. Even in the transitions in school, Sydney's in the 8th grade, Jessica's in the 10th, and just realizing that I don't have as much time with them as I thought I had. Maybe I just thought I had a whole lifetime. But I don't, I don't. And I just feel like I did so much that I want to teach them before they leave. And just trying to get it in. I know that both of you have, been through this before. So it's, any advice, or I'm open to it, because it's different. And I just guess I realized I just don't have the babies that I thought I had anymore. I don't have them anymore. So that part is different. I didn't think that I would miss that. But because it's happening so fast, they grow up before your eyes. So you don't really see all of the, things that happened then, until you look back at pictures and you're like, wait a minute, what happened to that? What happened to that, Jessica? I want that one back. This one.
I want that happen. It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I want that one back.
Well, how things been going professionally for you?
Professionally, let me tell you something. This housing market is off the chain. I got buyers who are willing and able, and they're ready, but the market says, yeah, but not now, because the prices are so high here. And so we are, just having to redirect and, broaden people's viewpoints on what ownership may look like for you currently. Just realizing this is your for now home and not your forever home, but just trying to get them engaged to think differently. I think one thing that I see, because y'all know, I don't know how I get all these millennial clients, but I get them. So, but they come from a very comfortable lives, and so they want to keep, and the life that they come from, their parents grew, they grew into that, and they just want to step into that, continue. Where we start here. And then we climb. They just want to leave out the house and just move next door. And it's, it just, necessarily happen like that for a lot of people. But for those whom I'm able to convince, hey, we might have to look an hour outside um, of the town or of the county. You know, you might not be in this county, but for those, I'm able to help, and that's good that they realize that, you know, this is this is the situation where it is right now. Right. And if the market continues, then that means this is going to be a really great investment, even for even the next 5 years, 5 years, 10 years. Come back. You'll be able to come back. You might be able to afford to do that.
That's right.
Well, that's good. You know, and something you mentioned, Dina and Javon, whether it be from Javon's shop and her parents and your daughters and the real estate market, I'm even feeling it. And I'm sure a lot of other SistaNistas are feeling it, because if you function in any type of profession, whether you're an entrepreneur or you work, change. You know, it's a lot of changes, and you've got to be able to adapt or adjust and overcome, because so many different changes as it pertains to coaching. I cannot coach people the same way I have been doing the past 14 years. People's needs are different. They want different things. People have other types of crisis or other type of issues that they are in transition about. I don't think I've ever encountered so many people who just the sheer fact of transitioning back to face-to-face or in-person working has been a struggle. Or something as simple as the amount of people who have lost loved ones. Life has changed. And even the good things that have happened with people. You know, people are still getting married. People are still having children. You know, people are still doing, but those transitions, when it comes to, you know, what I do, some things I don't choose to do the way anymore, but just having to adjust with the change. And as a Black woman, to me, it's still a lot more fragile, because we still don't have the access and the options that some people have in certain arenas. And I think it's even the more because all of us are in the entrepreneurship world. And I don't think any entrepreneur that I know has always made money every month the same way.
Right.
You have times where you up, sometimes you're
up and you down.
Sometimes, you know, you down. So even having to make those adjustments with financially, the clients that don't come in anymore, having to, you know, shift over here, like when you have your Kapow training center, Javon, or like I'm doing the voiceover work is compensating for other work I used to do over here. So how do y'all, the changes that you're going through that we've all mentioned, what is your I don't want to say advice, but just an example of how somebody else who's listening can deal with these transitions, whether they be financially, professional, relationships, parent, children. Javon or Dina, chime in first, whoever.
I would just say, you know, have a backup plan. And even if you don't have that backup plan, create it. Because this is very, very, it's unusual for me, because I've always known what I wanted to do and known how I wanted to do it. But the climate has changed drastically. So I'm like constantly reinventing myself and doing things. I've been doing stuff that I've been making, you know, business cards for people and doing other things that, you know, I don't normally do on a regular basis. But I've had odd jobs and so forth to compensate where I've lost, you know, but I've not missed a beat. I refuse to miss a beat.
Something you should say. I have a friend of mine. We go way back, and she was in and I don't want to say the industry because I don't want to give it away, because I love anonymity among friends. That means a lot.
Right.
But she was in a particular industry where she was known nationally at the top of her game, and not just because of COVID, but because she just got tired. She don't want to do that anymore. She don't want to do it anymore. And she was telling me how embarrassed she was to take a 9-to-5. And I said, man, let me tell you something right now. And I have said it for years. Yes, I own Tracy Mack Coaching Services, Peace Place LLC, Tracy Mack Publishing, BWWP. I do Tracy Mack producing when it comes to voiceover work, because I don't do music anymore. But let me tell you something. When it comes to, it's not that money is the number one, but when it comes to earning my income, I really don't care whose name signs the check. As long as it's legitimate work and as long as it's legal work and it aligns with my purpose. So if you ever hear about me working for somebody else, it's true. Because,
Correct.
and I think that's a pride thing.
I'm
But
gonna
I
get
told her,
mine.
I said, baby, listen, if nothing else, you have superseded the average person in that industry because you were at
Yes.
the top of your game nationally. Been there, done that.
Mhm.
Move on to something else. But she was talking about the embarrassment of having to take that job. And so when you just mentioned, hey, look, if I got to do some odd and end stuff to make ends meet, you got to do what you got to do. If somebody thinks that
Correct.
keynote speaking somewhere as a coach before 20,000 or 10,000 or 5,000, yeah, I've done it. I'm not doing that right now. Does that make me any less because I choose to
No.
bring an income through? So these things, in recapping about a Black woman's world, this is what. So Dina, what's your adjustment, or how do you think somebody can better deal with an adjustment of having a transition?
I think one of the things, and this happened like years ago, maybe about 5 years ago, that I was preparing for this day, in hindsight, is really making sure that we live on a budget and knowing how to maintain or live not at your means, but definitely, below your means, so that you can at least have, because it's going to be some rainy days. It's always
Definitely
rainy days. And maintaining those streams so that when and if you are ever in need, you can capitalize on your resources, such as, refinancing. That is if you're a homeowner, that's why it's always better to rent or better to own, because you can capitalize in your equity in your home. So if that's a need, then you have it there. So even whether you're doing improvements on your home, whether you want to refinance your home, whether you just want to lower your monthly payments, because, that's how we live. We live from one month to the next month. And if you can reduce a bill by $300, $500, $1,000, that's significant to most people.
correct.
I really believe it's really maintaining the budget lifestyle. Because I ain't ashamed to say we do live around here on a budget. So it's kind of
I will say this now. I don't know about people in Hollywood, but I say any middle income baller budgets. And I ain't talking about balling with stuff you can see, because ain't nothing like somebody looking rich, But I think anybody should be. I know people I know who are at least not afraid of what's happening right now in the world. Have people who have, Javon said, having a backup plan. You said prepared. I think people who have prepared. And sometimes the backup plan will look like people. Because think about it. The other day, Facebook went out.
Yes. I thought it was my phone. I thought something was going on with my phone.
I thought it was my Facebook, IG, and WhatsApp went out, because, of course, they're all owned by Zuckerberg. But when it went out, I thought it was my phone. And then when I was like, you know what? Oh, well, I ain't on it no way. But when it came back on that evening, because I was like, oh, I forgot to wish one of my line sisters happy birthday. When it came back on that evening, I began to see in my feed, and I don't even scroll my feed mindlessly anymore. I go to particular pages because I just can't take all the stuff on the feed. But I saw people talking about, oh my God, what was I going to do without Facebook? Facebook, because people depend on it. They depend on Instagram to sell their products and services and connect. I know internationally, WhatsApp, people use that. And even then, having a backup plan about your relationships.
Stay tuned for more of the BWWP. Have you ever heard someone say, been there, done that, and got the t-shirt? Well, when you do, that usually means they have gone through some things, and having the t-shirt is part of the evidence to prove it. So when it comes to being a SistaNista, you already know that you've been there, you've done that. Now, I want to make sure you get your very own limited edition SistaNista t-shirt. It's available at our BWWP online boutique at BlackWomen'sWorld.com. Because being a SistaNista is a noun, an adjective, and a verb. And I'm sure You see yourself right now as you have been listening to me describe what being a SistaNista is and just what you've heard so far. So you've been there, you've done that, and you might as well wear the SistaNista t-shirt and be proud to be the SistaNista you are. Remember, this is a limited edition, so order yours while they last and wear it like only you can. To order yours today, go to the BWWP online boutique at blackwomen'sworld.com. You've been listening to Black Women's World Podcast. Let's continue the conversation.
Because in recapping, I'm looking at it's people that I may have had to call upon during COVID that I hadn't talked to in years because of something that we needed, or even people I'm working with now because we adjusted how we move and make money. And you mentioned refinancing. It's things that if you're consistent in paying your mortgage, you can easily refinance. So it goes back to the pattern of behavior. So Javon, when you talked about having a backup plan, what did you do to have those plans backed up so you can pull from those resources like Dina talked about?
I think it's just an ongoing thing with me, Tracy. I'm so used to, like in the salon world, we have our seasons. You have your seasons of when you're gonna, the clients are gonna roll in. Then you have your seasons where it's kind of dry, So you just always think about, well, at least me, I always think about, okay, I know this season is approaching. What is my next thing? And with me, because I do so many different things, it's like, what do I feel like doing right now? Or even if it's what I don't feel like doing, what's going to hit hard at this moment, in this climate, in this atmosphere that we're living in. So I'm always thinking about the next thing. It might be next year. I don't know when it will hit, but I'm always thinking, what am I going to do in this downtime? But I don't know where it comes from. It's just how I've been living my life. I've been doing this for over 20 something years. And it's like, when the time's going to get a little slow.
Well,
but
did it come, Javon, because you had to learn a lesson of not having a backup plan? And then Dina, you can chime in too. What it's like not to have a backup plan? Did you have to learn that lesson the hard way?
I can definitely speak for myself on that. It was lack of backup planning and just me not being as disciplined in that area of my life, even in my adulthood. And I think once I faced the fact that I was not good in this area and I got help, then because it's at a point, it ain't but so many times. It was a point where I said, I will never go to a grocery store counter ever again and swipe my card and pray that it goes through. That was me.
Yeah.
That's when I had to get myself together.
That alone will make you get some stuff together and
it make you get your whole life.
Yeah. Because
get your whole life.
My thing was, I thought the biggest thing to do was to have a small business and get a contract or a government contract. And so when that thing happened, I learned my lesson for having the backup. I thought that was the gravy, but I messed around and that was my only contract. So that's the lesson I learned about having a backup plan and being able to pull on my resources and to be prepared was never to be a small business and only have one client. That number one, anybody who's had a contract with the federal government or state government, they pay so slow that the pay don't come in when you do the work. It's got to go through all this red tape. So I learned a lesson from having different backup plans because that can't be the only one. I was almost broke. What should I say? I was because they pay so slow. And SistaNistas, if you have ever had a government contract and you work in the offices where you're responsible for paying other people, because I had subcontracted. So I had to make good on monies to pay people who I was responsible for paying, but I hadn't gotten paid because it took them 9 months to pay me. You know, so I learned. So when Javon, you know, those Dina said that was at the grocery store, I don't want to ever have to pray if they will go through. For me, I don't ever want a government contract or any one entity to be the only source of income I have.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? You know, so whether it be a beauty shop or whatever, any other things, because I mean, we kind of just recapping from what we've been going through, but even learning lessons along the way in this pandemic life. Javon, you were going to say?
I was just going to say and add to what Dina was saying about the grocery store thing. That wasn't my thing, but being in the salon world, when you have stylists that come and go, you know, I never wanted to have to bank on my stylist. I said, whether they're here or not, I'm going to be able to afford my place. And in the salon world, we're not taught the business aspect of how to properly run the business. So a lot of salon owners, they wait for the stylist. Oh, I'm going to get 10 stylists. I'm going to make this, I'm going to get that. But you don't get 10 stylists. You know, you may get one, you may get three, you may get, you know, and somebody may be with you that whole run, you know, as long as you're open, but you're going to have people come and go. So that fluctuation, it's kind of like, oh my God, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something a little bit different. And that keeps me going. That's like, okay, I'm not going to put up a help wanted sign here ever. And if you want to work, that's fine. But you're not going to see a sign up because I have all the help here that I need to keep this thing flowing. And call it pride, call it whatever you want to. I just did not want to be that typical place. Mind you, I could use some help. But I'm not gonna put that sign up. I'm gonna make pottery. I'm gonna do whatever I have to do.
But you have you've usually had stylists in your shop.
Oh yeah, I've always had stylists. But at this place in my life, I'm not for a bunch of foolishness. You know, I could deal with a little bit of drama and a little bit of foolishness years ago, but as we age, it's just certain things we just don't or will never stand for. So
and in a
you do what you gotta do.
In a Black woman's world, we understand the beauty shop world.
And honey, I ain't got time. Not ever.
And something you should
therefore,
say. Yeah, go ahead.
I said, therefore, you have to have your plan A, B, and C in order to keep it moving to where you don't fall off or have to compromise for beauty shop world type stuff. No. Not ever. So what are you going to say?
When Dina mentioned about praying that thing go through, and then she mentioned earlier about having a budget and living beneath your means, I think that says a lot. Because if you live above your means, we know how that can work. Dina, how did you learn? I know we're recapping, but how did you learn not to get in that spot? I know that in itself, that moment was a lesson, but how did you fix it without going into too much detail? Because I know it took some time, or was it instant?
No, it took some time. You know, it took some time to figure out. You gotta face it. You know, that means you in some debt. How much debt are you in? You know, who have you paid? Who have you not paid?
Yeah.
Who's looking for you? I mean, you really have to.
Yeah, who's looking for you?
Yeah, who looking for you? So
and that's real.
Those will come to Jesus moments with yourself. So it all started and ended, you know, with the man in the mirror for me. You know, just trying to figure that part out, and coming with all of that comes with shame and embarrassment and all of those words. But you can't fix it if you don't face it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Some people might say hitting rock bottom or falling on your bleep, you know, but I mean, that's what it takes me to dust off and do it again the right way.
And I think that's what it takes. I think everybody needs to have a come to Jesus moment in some area of their lives. It may not be financially for others, maybe relationship, maybe health. But at some point in time, because in our audience demographically, we're talking to Black women, usually between the ages of 35 and 55. So even with that, so we're not saying that everybody here has to have a testimony where you praying at the register, because a lot of Black women are very well. I was talking to a neighbor this morning. She talked about retiring 2 years ago. And now she's off into doing so many things entrepreneurial, and money is not an issue for her. But she came to me this morning because she saw me walking, and she said, my health. So whether it may be money for you, it may be health, it may be a relationship with somebody else. That's why we can't dog each other out.
Yeah.
We all going through something.
Something, correct.
But
right.
and I just want to thank both of y'all because it is wonderful for us to be back in the SistaNista seats again, as always, and to know that we still live lives as Black women. We still have ups and downs, children growing, parents aging, the things that we as Black women, and I have to stress Black women because don't nobody handle it like we do. We still have our skin and our gender that everybody doesn't groove with and vibe with. And one more question: has being Black, do you think, contribute to or hinder the way you're having to handle your changes and adjustments?
Uh-huh.
Well, the skin we're in, everything is always, piled on. My daughter today, I'm looking at the watch, she's probably back now, but she was on a panel with another one of her peers at a program called Athena, and it was at Prestonwood this morning. And she had her list of questions, and one of the questions was,
tell our listeners what Prestonwood is. I know because we live in the
It's a country club. It's a country club in Cary, North Carolina, and it's very well known here in the area. I'm sure it's a Prestonwood everywhere in this country. So one of the questions was, how do you think being a woman in corporate America how will it affect you? And she's in the 10th grade, and all I could share was how it affected me, not just as a woman, but as a Black woman. I said, today, the court of our highest land is making decisions on how our reproductive rights will be. When the women's suffrage march was going on, Susan B. Anthony did not invite Black women to the table because they didn't feel like they wanted to fight that fight. They already knew that there was two different fights, one on gender and one on race, and they weren't trying to have the one on race. In corporate America, I recall times when it was time for me to pick up our son from the Y, but my district manager wanted to make one more call, and I was an hour out from picking him up. And I said, I'm sorry, that will not happen today because I have to get home to pick up my child from daycare. That's not going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen after this here. This thing happens after you get out my car, but you will get out right now because I have got to go and pick up my child. So those are things, and I'm a Black woman. Would he have made those same demands on a white woman who had to go pick up her child? So our struggle, and that was just me. That's one little example as to what has happened in my life and why, I made decisions that impacted from then to now. So just explaining to her, not only being different as a woman, because my children go to an all-girls school. So not being different just as a woman, but when you add the layer of skin color on it, we're expected to do so much more with so much less.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's amazing how much we actually do get done on less everything, time, money, energy.
Yes.
But we're able to do it, to your point, Tracy.
Yeah. Javon?
I don't even know what to say after Dina spills out all that. Like, I don't even know what to say. But you're absolutely right. That's all I can say. You're absolutely right.
It's true, because some people will look at it and automatically assume you're trying to pull the race card. Well, I mean, the race card should be pulled a lot more, and it's not something I'm ashamed to pull when I know that I know that I know, because something as simple as in my field as a coach, there are times I have been told, there are times that I have seen where coaches who are white and or male or a combination of white male will get way more money. They will get way more opportunities. There have been times when I was approached to speak at an engagement just for the sheer fact of getting, Tracy, you'll get great exposure. And I find out my white male colleague is getting paid. You understand? So there are places where, even though I think I'm okay financially, of course, we all can have more money. But there are times when I look at now, and of course, had I been paid what he had gotten paid, would I be at a better financial place simply because of being fairly treated? Or I think I have pretty good credit, but that person across the table from me back in the day when you had to go apply for things, my first house, my first car, that wasn't all computerized back in the day. So people made decisions based on your gender and ethnicity. So even though that may have been a long time ago, could I have been farther along? Especially in the financial world, had people not being able to make biased decisions against me. So, I mean, we look at things now that no matter the in our recap of where we've been and what's been going on, we're still in this world traveling through like a Black woman, several steps behind just because of the color of our skin. So imagine what Javon with the home renovations and the parents and the children growing up and running several businesses, Dina with her daughters changing, and the real estate world, me, entrepreneur, business and family and all kind of things going on. We're doing all these things successfully with our Black selves.
Yes.
And I want to applaud y'all. You're doing it, and you're doing it well. So whether it be my two dynamic co-hosts or SistaNistas who are listening or watching, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Have a backup plan. Be prepared. Reach out for help when you need it, because another SistaNista may have your answer. Reach out for help needed. So much love and peace from me.
Yes.
And my two dynamic co-hosts from the BWWP. Peace.
You've been listening to Black Women's World Podcast, the BWWP, brought to you in part by Tracy Mack, Solutions for Life Institute, Coaching and Training Services. No doubt you have enjoyed being in our world, and it doesn't have to stop here. Head on over to blackwomensworld.com. This is my personal invitation to you to stay connected with me on social media and more. I'd love to see you there, and I'm so grateful you came to be with me here. Invite someone else to join you in our queendom next time so they can feel the vibe of our tribe of SistaNistas and SistaNista lovers too. Remember to be kind, be authentic, be generous, be excellent, be grateful, and while you're at it, go ahead and be extraordinary. Because that's just what SistaNistas do, on purpose, through mission, with passion and compassion. It's a Black woman's world, baby, and you, my SistaNista, are proof. I'm your self-discovery companion, your professional peacemaker, and your host, Tracy Mack. Wherever you are in the world, may you love and be loved by somebody. Peace.